Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy, and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health, one topic at a time. So I'm back. I had unfortunately, I lost my mother, and I've been gone for a couple of weeks now, and I'm not really going to say too much about that other than that it's just like they say, very hard to lose a loved one. And I am very happy that she lived to the age of 90 and that shortly before she passed away, I had actually gone to visit her and I threw her a 90th birthday party. So I'm glad that my mother really enjoyed that, and she is missed. So anyway, so I'm back, and I'm back amidst all the hype about the coronavirus. Isn't it great? So I thought that I would just briefly say what I'm doing and recommending about in terms of trying to not contract the coronavirus and stay as healthy as I can. And some of these things that I'm going to say, that the most of them actually just apply to what I think we can do all the time. But I've also compiled a short list of 4 items that I personally decided to purchase, and I sent care packages to both my kids with these items. And they are just aimed at enhancing immune support and an antiviral kind of immune support. A little bit pricey, I guess. I'm not going to put any affiliate links below as usual. I'm not looking to collect any kind of commissions. I don't like to buy things that people recommend if those same people have a financial interest in them. That's a conflict. And this is just what I've recommended to people that I love and what I'm doing myself. And so choose to take what you like. I will say my usual disclaimer, which is that, and nothing I say on this channel is to be perceived as a substitute for medical advice. I'm not giving any individual medical advice on this channel, but rather things that I think you might want to discuss with your own doctor if you want to be a good advocate for your own health. So to get started, first of all, there is a lot of hype on the news. So, it's very hard to figure out exactly what the risk is. How communicable is this virus? And, how deadly is it? Some people, it seems like, barely know that they have a cold, and other people are dead. And one thing I think is really helpful for me is reading my news instead of the 24-hour news cycle and watching things on TV. I just think that there's less of that hype that gets through to you when you're just reading. You can just sort of get your facts. Yeah, it's not, you can't really get everything. Nothing's published like the minute something comes out, but daily you can get an update, let's say, and that's probably sufficient. So I personally just prefer to read my news and not suffer the trauma of all the media hype. Secondly, I think that what they're saying about hand washing is really important all the time, by the way, but especially with this. So, viruses are contracted somewhat by touching and also somewhat by droplets that are in the air. Like somebody coughs and there are droplets that maintain themselves in the air for a while before they fall down, and people come along and breathe those in. But so touching is part of that, and it's really important to wash your hands well. So particularly when you've used like a public restroom or something, you'll want to wash your hands, and you want to wash your hands thoroughly. It should take about 30 seconds. You want to get the palms of your hands all lathered up, the backs of your hands, get in under each fingernail. And then this part is very important. You don't want to wash your hands and then with those clean hands, turn off the sink, which you just turned on with those dirty hands, and other people have used with dirty hands, particularly in like public restrooms. So what you'll want to do is wash your hands, and when you're done, let the sink keep running. Don't turn it off. Take a paper towel, dry your hands as thoroughly as you're going to, and then with that towel, with the one side of that towel, just push the sink lever to the off position and toss the paper towel in the garbage. So you're not recontaminating your hands. And I noticed more and more in public restrooms, now they have waste baskets oftentimes situated right next to the door, and that's for the same reason. So you can take a paper towel and you can open that door with using that paper towel and then toss it immediately. So you're not, now touching everything anymore in a public restroom after you've just washed your hands. And I think that's important. If you're going to wash your hands, wash them correctly and wash them well. I have also heard that there's a recommendation, which is that if you have long hair, to go ahead and put it up in a bun, tie it back, for a couple of reasons. One is the hair could trap those droplets that are in the air. And also, hair around the face is a source of people touching their faces a lot. So there'll be a lot of this, put your hair behind your ears, tucking it, getting it out of your eyes. I've told my own daughter who has long hair to go ahead and put her hair up in a bun for now. And I don't know, is it true that this helps? I don't know, but it certainly is benign and it isn't going to hurt. So I think that sounds like good advice. And then you don't want to be touching everything out in public places. Like, I'm not going to recommend don't use a banister and maybe fall down the stairs. But, at the same time, I think you want to be judicious about what you're going to touch. And then do not be touching your eyes, your face, or anything else. Just, when you're out in public, just kind of don't touch all these surfaces when you don't have to, and then you'll wash your hands when you get back inside. So besides those things, I did put together a list, like I said, of 4 items. These are aimed at immune support. Some people will say that buying supplements and vitamins and things like that are just expensive. I think that is more nuanced. I don't think it's black and white, this issue of how much to buy in the way of supplements. Of course, you don't want to take a mortgage out on your home in order to buy some food supplements. But I do think that there is something to these. And for the most part, especially when we're talking about some that are pretty benign, they're not going to cause any harm. And they might help. I think that is important. So here are the 4 things that I have, and I will link them down below in the description box. And I will also put the link to Vitacost.com. I'm not doing any kind of affiliate link. I'm not going to collect any kind of commission on this. I think that's a conflict of interest. I personally don't like to buy things from people who are recommending things because I think it's just a conflict. But rather, these are things that I'm recommending to people that I love and that I've sent to both of my kids in little care packages, just to get some added immune support during this time. So the first one is a particular preparation of vitamin D, which is an oil. It's in the form of drops, and it's 5,000 international units per drop. So you would not use a whole dropper full. You would use just 1 drop of this. Some people say you could take it daily. Some people say you might want to limit that to a few times a week. You can get your vitamin D level tested if you're not sure about it. I personally, at this season, take it 1 drop a day. And I just put that drop under my tongue and I let it sit there, try for a couple of minutes to just let it sit there since it's just 1 little drop, you hardly even notice it, and then just go about your day. You'll swallow it and that's fine. So that's the vitamin D. There's something like, I think a couple of 100 servings in that bottle because you're only using 1 little drop on a day. So the second item is a Solaray brand zinc copper supplement. Zinc is a really nice immune enhancer, but the thing is a lot of zinc preparations don't contain copper, and there is a trade-off between copper and zinc. And actually, if you start supplementing zinc and you're not keeping track of that and taking some copper, there are actually some dangerous side effects. So Solaray makes a nice one that's right in the right proportion. It's not a huge amount. It's just a little supplementation of zinc and just enough copper that needs to go with it. That's a proportion. It's cheap. And I think there's something like 100 capsules in this bottle. So that'll last you 100 days because you take 1 a day. The third item I recommend is elderberry syrup, which it's a little bit, I don't like to use the word alternative, but it's kind of getting a little bit of traction in terms of being an immune enhancer. And some people who are more into alternative health and naturopathic health advocate taking elderberry syrup. I don't see any risk to it. And I think that it looks like from the little bit of research that there is that it probably does help some. It's also pretty cheap. And right now Vitacost has buy one, get one 50% off. So I did go ahead and buy that elderberry syrup. I've used that some in the past with good results. So that says like a teaspoon 3 times a day. For something like this, I personally take a tablespoon twice a day. So that's a little more than what they're saying, but it's not as many times. I take them 12 hours apart. And then finally, the last item is the one in this pack that's a little bit expensive, and that is called a lipospheric vitamin C. So what is it about lipospheric vitamin C? Why do I recommend that? Because there's so many vitamin C supplements out there, and most of them are really quite cheap. And lipospheric vitamin C is a patented formula where the vitamin C is fat encapsulated. So why is that important? There are different kinds of vitamins. Vitamins are either water soluble or lipid soluble. So things like vitamin E, that's a lipid vitamin, it's a lipid soluble. Things like vitamin B and vitamin C, those are all water soluble vitamins. And the thing is, inside the human body, anything that gets into cells or is able to cross membranes has to be able to cross lipid membranes. Okay, every single cell in your body is surrounded by a membrane, which is called a lipid bilayer. And the only things that really cross in and out of cells easily are lipids. Things that cross in and out of cells that are not lipid have to be delivered by another process called active transport, where there has to be something called a carrier, and it's a little more of a complicated process. And the bottom line is some people don't absorb the water-soluble vitamins that easily. And that's why, some people have vitamin B deficiencies. There are people like celiacs, for example, and this isn't only about the water solubility issue, but they have B vitamin deficiencies, and you can give them a lot of B12 by mouth and they just won't absorb it. And again, this isn't just about a water solubility issue, but it's just an example that it tends to be the water soluble vitamins that are more difficult to absorb. So this particular preparation of vitamin C, which is fat encapsulated, means that the vitamin C is suspended in fat molecules, so those fats do cross membranes more easily. I have taken this, again, with very good results. I don't take it all the time. I use it typically when I travel, but now I'm going to just take these once a day. It's a weird kind of a gel. It's about a tablespoonful in each packet. You dump it into like just a tiny bit of water, just enough that you can get it all down in one swallow. You're not supposed to dissolve this thing. You're not supposed to make it look uniform in the water. It should just be this globule sitting there in a swallow of water. So take it all in one swig and then have a glass of water afterwards so you make sure you kind of get it all down. So those are my recommendations. I'd be really interested in your feedback, what you have to say. I kind of think these are the things that just make sense, that are pretty benign, and it's sort of like we have to just do all we can do. There's some things we can't control in this situation, and this is my take on what might help, won't hurt, and probably makes us all feel a little bit better. So I'd be really interested in your feedback. Please subscribe. Please share this with anybody that you think might be interested. And until next time, nice to be back. Bye-bye.